All rise.
I want viewers watching my show to believe in themselves.
Judge Hatchett is compelling.
I was not the first one to throw a wall.
Let me just tell you what you just said.
Compassionate.
I really enjoy being a judge. Now I am touching people who I will never know I touched.
She's powerful.
You should have never let them walk out of your life when she was 3.
And she's on the bench.
Don't get me preaching up in here today.
Right.
You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Miranda Eldon is suing Harrison Daniels in the amount of $10,000. Ms. Eldon claims Mr. Daniels was negligent when he allowed her teenage son to drive home drunk, which resulted in a car accident. Mr. Daniels claims he was unaware that his son and the plaintiff's son were drinking and says Ms. Eldon's son set his shed on fire. Mr. Daniels is countersuing for $560.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Hatchett presiding. Your Honor.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Ms. Eldon, you are here with your son, Griffin, and you have filed a lawsuit in the amount of $10,000.
Yes.
And it is complicated, to say the least. And Mr. Daniels, you are here with your son, Dale, and basically you have a counterclaim of some $560 for property damage. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so this involves a difficult issue. It does. Based on the complaint, there's no question that these boys got intoxicated and that they got intoxicated at your home. So I want you to start from the beginning and tell me what happened.
Okay, well, yeah, so my son, he told me that he was going to go over to a coffee shop to go study with, what's his name, Dale? With Dale, okay? So I said, you can go ahead and go, be back home at 10:30.
All right.
What happens, he doesn't call me, he doesn't come home at 10:30. He winds up drinking over this man's house, okay? This man kicks him out where he runs into a tree. The police call me. When I get to the scene, he's apparently drunk out of his mind. When I say drunk, he was drunk out of his mind. My son has never lied to me. He's never had a bit of liquor ever in his life.
Well, he lied to you when he told you he was going to the coffee shop, so don't say he's never lied to you.
Right,
Let's
because
start
he
there.
started hanging out with this young man. As soon as he started hanging out with this young man, things started going downhill, basically. So I get to the scene. I ask him, I say, what's going on? He basically says that Mr. Daniels kicked him out and he had to come home. And I'm like, why did he kick you out? He basically says that we were drinking and whatever, I don't know. But at the end of the day, my son ran into a tree. He got a $500 fine, and that's one of the reasons why I'm suing Mr. Daniels.
So a $500 fine, but you're suing for $10,000. What's the other part of the $10,000?
Correct, because our premium on insurance, and thank God that our insurance didn't cut him off, but our premium went up from $115 to $350 a month. So basically I'm charging him for, which is gonna be way more in a year's time, but I don't want to pay that. We're not paying that. That's his responsibility. He's negligent. He let his son drink. He let my son drink. I don't allow that in my home, and I'm not going for that. And I'm not paying $350 for some insurance when it's his fault.
So this is all Mr. Daniels' fault? You think?
It's all his fault.
It's all his fault?
Yes.
That your son lied, said he was going to the coffee shop, ends up at his friend's house, and gets drunk. It's all Mr. Daniels' fault.
It's not his fault that my son lied, but my son wanted to hang out with this boy. When I tell you my son gets straight A's, when I tell you he does everything that he's supposed to do, I don't know what's going on with these two boys, but he told me that they drink at his home, that Mr. Daniels allows his son to drink. I told him I don't want him going over there. If he wants him to come over, that's fine, because I watch what's going on in my home.
So now, I'm still trying to figure out, though, how all of this becomes Mr. Daniels' responsibility. Mr. Daniels, were the boys at your house that night? in question?
Actually, I was not aware that the boys were going to be at my house that night. Dale did tell me about Griffin, but I didn't really think that much of it because he has a lot of friends at school. And then he tells me a couple weeks later that he wants to go and study with Griffin. And I was under the impression that they were going to go out somewhere and study. So I went to bed early because I got to get up in the morning and go to my construction site. So I tend to go to bed early. And I'm a deep sleeper, and around 10 o'clock p.m., I wake up to shouting. Run downstairs and out into the backyard, and I see my son. He's screaming, and then her son is smiling like a Cheshire cat and laughing.
Well, of course.
My
I mean,
shed
he's drunk
is
for
on
his first
fire
time,
from fireworks that he had gotten into, fired and set the shed on fire, and then I see alcohol bottles all over the ground, so I figure out what had happened. They had gone into the alcohol, got drunk, and then he set the shed on fire. I was so angry because I was afraid the fire was going to spread that I kicked him out. I know it was very stupid to have done that, but I was so angry at the time, I just wasn't thinking and focusing on the shed and my son's safety.
Who sends a minor drunk home in a car? Like, regardless if you knew he was there or not. I wouldn't do your son like that. First of all, your son wouldn't be drinking at my house. First of all, I wouldn't even be, I would be up.
Miss Eldon, I get it.
Coming up on The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
I offered him a drink. Next thing I know, he was in the hallway closet, getting the fireworks, lighting them off outside. Next thing I know, it flew into the shed and it got bursted into flames.
And later,
I said, the garage is not repaired. Secure your valuables.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Miranda Eldon, who is suing Harrison Daniels for $10,000.
So tell me, Griffin, what was going on?
We were supposed to be studying, and that's what I thought it was going to be. And when I got there, he grabbed the alcohol off the top of the refrigerator, and he was like, let's drink. And he kept offering me. I was like, no. And I was already nervous because one of the reasons I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. And after him laughing at me and making jokes about me not drinking,
You get to you in a minute.
I said yes, and I've never drank before, so after drinking, it got out of hand, and that's when I found the fireworks, and we went to the backyard and started lighting fireworks.
And you set the shed on fire.
It's kind of hazy. I mean, I was drunk, so I don't really remember setting it on fire, but I do remember him telling me that I should drink, and Mr. Daniels coming outside and yelling at me to leave his property.
Mr. Daniels, so what's going on with this drinking issue?
Your Honor, I bought that alcohol for myself. I let my son drink only when I'm in the room.
Dale, what happened?
Basically, he comes over, and then I offered him a drink. Next thing I know, he was in the hallway closet, getting the fireworks, lighting them off outside. Next thing I know, it flew into the shed and it got bursted into flames.
I didn't realize that Texas, based on our research, is the only state that says that it is okay for a parent to give their child alcohol, even if the child is still considered to be a minor. And clearly these boys are minors.
Right.
But are you really convinced that this is a smart thing to do, to have a minor child in your home drinking?
I was supervising him. I felt that was okay, but not for other children that are not my children.
And so, what were the consequences of your son then drinking without your knowledge and offering alcohol to another minor?
I did punish him. I grounded him for 2 months. And I asked him.
No alcohol for 2 months?
And I had asked him what happened, and he did not tell me until she showed up at my front door.
So when she shows up at your front door, what is your response?
I let her know about my burnt down shed, and she said that everything was my fault, which is untrue. I mean, you know, I know a parent is responsible for their kids, but she's also a parent, and she should look in the mirror.
I look in the mirror every day.
Let me tell you. Miss Eldon, be quiet. because you need to hear this. You need to hear this very clearly. Your son is not without responsibility in this situation. Oh, Judge, he never lies to me. He's a perfect kid. No, there's no such thing as a perfect kid. Now, to have gone to bed early, you have a construction job, I get that, but maybe the rules need to have been, Mr. Daniels, that when I am asleep and I am not in a position to supervise, there can't be anybody else in this house.
Preach.
Don't be sitting there all high and mighty like, you know, you don't have a problem here, because you've got a problem here too. So don't sit here and say, Judge, preach. This is nothing to be dismissive about. This is very serious. He could have left instead of hitting a tree, or he could have hit a tree and it could have been a fatal incident where he could have been killed. Or he could have left the house and he could have killed some other people. I mean, this is really a serious situation. I hope you heard that. And I hope you also heard that you're very fortunate that Griffin is standing here alive and not seriously hurt. I am really irritated with you. You hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I am irritated with you. And I am irritated with you for not having the guts to say no.
Yes, Your Honor.
You know, this whole thing with peer pressure is real. And I'm just grateful that this wasn't more of a pathetic, tragic situation than it is. You know?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're paying a heavy cost for having lied. And you want to take responsibility for you all drinking because you knew that that was against your father's rules in that house. And Mr. Daniels, if you were wise, you'd have some new rules in your house. I'm going to dismiss your primary claim. I'm going to dismiss your counterclaim with the understanding that you all need to look at this very differently. Nothing further, we'll stand adjourned.
Judge Hatchett has ruled. Both claims have been denied.
I think we've all learned our lesson today, and hopefully the boys did too.
I agree, and I'm sorry I shouldn't let your son drive home that night. I wasn't thinking.
Coming up,
Furthermore, Mr. Burgess doesn't even pay his rent on time.
Yes.
He wants me to have compassion on him when he can't pay his rent on time.
closed captioning provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. Ivan Burgess is suing his landlord, Ashley Hightower, in the amount of $4,300. Mr. Burgess claims property was stolen from his car after the defendant failed to have the garage door repaired. Ms. Hightower claims she put up signs that clearly stated the door was out of order and says tenants should never leave valuables unattended.
All right, Mr. Burgess, you're here and you are suing your landlord for $4,300. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Okay, tell me what happened.
Well, Your Honor, the garage door to our building that leads to the parking spot that I live in, that I stay in, I park my car in, was broken into and my laptop was stolen from me.
So, what happened, Ms. Hightower?
Well, Your Honor, I was in the hospital. I have type 2 diabetes, okay? And during the time that I was in the hospital is when the garage broke. I was unable to take care of it at that time, but when I got out, I posted signs telling all of my tenants, I said, the garage is not repaired, secure your valuables.
Before you got out of the hospital, there was no notice. Is that correct?
Okay.
Because you were in the hospital and you couldn't post the notice at that
Well,
time.
exactly, and I did reach out to the maintenance man, but this was a special situation. The maintenance man could not fix it.
So, Mr. Burgess, the garage is broken.
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you know that the garage door is broken? Clearly?
I notified her when it broke.
All
I
right.
saw that it was the key lock. It's a key lock, so you have to hit the key to open the security lock. I'm sorry. I notified the defendant here, and I told her about it. And I work. She knows I'm a web designer, so primarily my whole means of work is with the laptop. It's very valuable to me, and it got broken into. My car got stolen, so I just want to be repaid for it. Since then, I've bought a new laptop, so I just want to be reimbursed for it.
Coming up,
but yet he's bringing me to court to pay for his laptop. No, I don't feel that I owe him anything.
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett. The Verdict with Judge Hatchett is back with the case of Ivan Burgess, who is suing Ashley Hightower for property loss.
So you have some evidence that you want to share with me?
Yes, ma'am. I have a receipt.
Let me see.
Of the laptop.
So this is a receipt for the brand new laptop that you bought.
It's not brand new. It's about 2 years old, 2.5 years old.
The one you had.
The one I had. Oh, yeah. The one I'm sorry. Yeah. That's how much. Yeah. The one I had.
Okay.
Initially.
And you bought a new laptop to replace it.
Correct.
And the replacement cost was the $4,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the rest of the money that you're claiming?
Yeah, I had also had my gym shoes in there. They're about $150 as well, and also my other gym equipment. I had some barbells, about 2 barbells, and a jump rope as well. And
I also understand that you had to have the window repaired. Is that
yes,
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's how we get to the $4,300.
Yes, approximately. Yeah.
Now, if you knew the garage door was broken, why didn't you take those valuables out of the car?
As I said before, Your Honor, I am a web designer and I work late. I freelance a lot. Some nights I come home 11, 12 o'clock. This particular night, I had a client in the morning. So I said, you know, it's a nice neighborhood. Nothing like this happens.
Probably not a wise decision in retrospect. Ms. Hightower, do you feel like you have any responsibility?
I feel like I have no responsibility.
Why? Tell me why.
Because,
you're the landlord. This is your property. Why not?
Because I posted a sign telling the tenants the garage is still not repaired. Secure your valuables. Okay, I even sent a text and he responded. Furthermore, Mr. Burgess doesn't even pay his rent on time. He wants me to have compassion on him when he can't pay his rent on time, but yet he's bringing me to court to pay for his laptop. No, I don't feel that I owe him anything.
Judge Hatchett's verdict when we return. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching The Verdict with Judge Hatchett.
The garage door was broken, and I'm sorry to know that you were in the hospital, but the garage door was open while you were incapacitated.
Right, exactly.
Having said that, though, Ms. Hightower, I don't know that it's fair that you should have to pay $4,000 for a brand new laptop when his laptop that was stolen was 2 years old.
Exactly.
Having said that, I am going to reduce this judgment from $4,000 to $2,800 that will then cover what a replacement laptop would cost, in my estimation, as well as the items that were left in the car and the window being repaired. Under those terms, I'm going to enter judgment in the amount of $2,800. If there's nothing further, we'll stand adjourned.
Judge Hatchett has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $2,800.
I would have been satisfied with the full amount, but I'll take the $2,800.
I still don't think I should have had to pay for any of your laptop. You should have been more responsible with your belongings.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.